Okay, let's take a look at the transaction relay object. Now, along with the store controller, you'll have to have at least one transaction relay object res in your store. It can be actually anywhere on the store region. It can be on the roof of the store, in the back room, on a platform. It can be anywhere as long as it's on the region where your store is. The purpose of the transaction relay, without getting too complex or too technical, basically what its job is to take the transactions that happen in your store and forward them to the web server where all your transactions are saved. Now, the reason for this is that it's possible that if your store region gets extra laggy, or if there's a service interruption on the web server, it's possible that transactions won't be able to be sent to the server for whatever reason. The transaction relay's job is to hold on to those transactions, to queue them up, and when communications are restored, either lag is reduced on the server region, or on the store region, or the web server's connection is restored, whatever happens to cause things to get back into proper communication state, the transaction relay will hold on to the transactions until that happens, and then start feeding the transactions to the web server again. This is how we ensure that none of your transactions are lost just because the web server is down or because your region is extra laggy for some reason. So most people will be able to get away with having one transaction relay resed. A transaction relay can hold 100 transactions. You'll see here that on the face of this, there is a queue value. These double-digit zeros here will start to climb as there are transactions inside the server. They'll normally you'll probably see one flash really quickly. These lights here will flash as the transaction is sent to the web server, and this will go back to 0. But if there are communication problems, this queue number will start rising, and it'll go all the way up to 99. So this transaction relay can hold 100 transactions. However, you can res more than one transaction relay, and the way to judge how many you should have resed is by thinking about worst case scenarios, basically. In the 3 or 4 years that the E2V system has been active, the longest outage we've ever had was about an hour, a little bit over an hour. There have been small incidences of 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes sometimes, but the longest one, let's say on the outside, is an hour. So the way you judge how many transaction relays you need to have resed is you take, let's say, our worst case scenario of an hour, and you say, how many transactions can my store generate in an hour? Most people's stores are not doing 100 transactions an hour. If you're doing 100 transactions an hour, good for you. That's awesome. What you'll want to do is take another transaction relay and res that as well. You'll see that a second one actually sits in standby mode. So what's going to happen here is that if communications are interrupted and you can't get transactions from your region to the web server, this transaction relay will start filling up. The number will climb and climb and climb. When it hits about around 90, so it's getting about 90% full, it'll start looking for another transaction relay. If you have another one, this one will go into offline mode. This one will become active, and now transactions will start queuing up over here. So you can see that right now we have space to hold 200 transactions. So if there's a longer outage or whatever happens, you have enough room to store all of your transactions. And when communications are restored, both of the relays will start sending their transactions to the web server. They'll both empty out. One of them will wind up being the active one will wind up being the standby one. But as again, for most people, if you're not doing 100 transactions an hour on a regular basis, you'll probably be able to get away with just having one transaction relay resed.